Anand is someone who has inspired me since 2017.
So I started my career as a scientist. So I moved from a government job which was very stable to, let us say, the private side. So Modelon, I would say we are a leading provider of system simulation. Okay. And our USP is we are the first company to provide this solution on cloud.
Wow.
So our software is in cloud.
Okay.
So even in MIT those days, if you do aero, you won't get job.
Yes.
So people used to make fun of us in college, like aero vela kedikadu. So something like that. So what I did was all my recruitment were aerospace engineers.
Hi sir, so this is the series where we touch base some of the great entrepreneurs right from Trichy, where I personally believe that getting insights from them would be great for the audience and who are all associated with Frigate. So let's start the series. Hi sir.
Hi Tamil.
Okay. So Anand is someone who has inspired me since 2017, where I was working for a company called 𝗧𝗺𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗵. I want to start Frigate as well. So he's the one, he's kind of outside box, because I connected with him by another fellow entrepreneur, Mr. 𝗧겸𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗵𝗵. He just told that, yeah, there is a good person who is, there's an amazing person who is doing some engineering services right from Trichy, because I, as a FE engineer, I was amazed. Okay, so someone is doing real thing. That's why I came to you, approached you. And after that, fast forward 2024, we are here. So tell me how, what you do, sir. So you are as I know, you are a scientist, work for GTRE, then you start this entrepreneurship. Can you bit elaborate what Anand is and what Modelon is all about?
Sure, definitely. First of all, thanks for having me in this podcast series. And so Tamil, I see you as a fellow traveler. I think we are traveling the same path. So if I want to give you a brief about what we do here, as well as who am I. So basically, I would identify myself as someone who wants to do difficult things. So I started my career as a scientist when we were trying to design India's first gas turbine engine, which was a difficult task. So that is when globalization was at its peak. I think slowly companies were coming into India. So as a youngster, you always want to experience different things, right? So I moved from a government job which was very stable to, let us say, the private side. I used to work for Honeywell, Mercedes-Benz, and then Siemens. But what happened along the way was you learn from everything, right? How an Indian company, how Indian government company runs, how a private company runs. And also as we age, I think 2000 was the start of companies coming into India. So slowly things were evolving. So I picked up a lot of things along the way. And after some point, I thought maybe some more difficulty that I can take up is coming out of a corporate job and trying to do something on your own. So that is when the key idea I had was something like trying to do something from a tier 2 city. Okay. So I had a genuine feeling that India is trying to pack a lot of things into 3 or 4 cities all the time, whereas real growth is when it is distributed amongst all the cities. So I decided to move to a tier 2 city. So that's how I ended up here in Trichy.
Okay. So can you bit elaborate on how you started? From GTRE, from MIT, then GTRE, then Siemens, then Modelon. So when actually you are from Chennai, right?
Yeah.
But why Trichy, and when you start? You said why Trichy already, but what pushed you? Because it might be Coimbatore or even Salem or Madurai. So why Trichy, and when you started?
Yeah. So I would say there is always a method to madness. So basically, for someone to move to an unknown city is always thought of as a madness. But I had some method. So I made a matrix of various cities within Tamil Nadu. So one thing is I want my kids to grow up in Tamil Nadu. So I chose Tamil Nadu, and then within Tamil Nadu, government itself said for IT and ITES, what are all the various cities we had. Software technology parks. So I listed out all the cities, and I had my own ways of adding some sort of criterias, and I rated them. So what turned out was Trichy was the most unexplored place with lot of potential. So that is why I ended up choosing Trichy, and exactly 2015 is when I moved here. So at that time I was working for Siemens, so I quit Siemens and then I moved here just to take the plunge.
Understand. So it's really amazing that you have chosen Trichy, because here Trichy, you all might know, it's an arts and science hub and it's a tourist hub, but really it's because I also run a company here, right? So it's a very good engineering hub as well.
Exactly.
As so much of you persons are not aware, but it's minimal compared to other tier 2 around Tamil Nadu. But see, here we can get lots of very good talents.
Exactly.
We have a real-time experience right in front of me. And to start a business or whatever thing, from doing some work and doing business, you should have an aha moment, right?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not about money.
Yep,
okay.
Definitely.
So what was that?
I always had this urge of, I think both of us, right? We always want to build something, right? So I think that was the aha moment. I wanted to build something. Otherwise, when you work for a company, it is always, task oriented. A task is given to you, you finish the task. Here, it is not that way. You build something, so that is your main goal. So that is your motivation. And then that you break it down into task and do. So basically you have to straddle between an entrepreneur and a manager.
Yeah.
But still, I would say building something was the motivating factor for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but for me, to be honest, I never want to be an entrepreneur. I want something. I might have told you earlier. Most of the people know it was the thirst in me, and it was something from my earlier employer. I want to show something in front of me. That was the fire which I started in the company. So, is there something like that? But you have done what you've been doing before, right? So, is there anything like that?
So, before that, I would like to clarify something. I really consider you as a real entrepreneur, and I consider myself as a pseudo entrepreneur.
Okay.
Because what I did was I used my skills to attract someone to start something in India and in the place of my choice, right? So that is what I have done, and I take pride in that. But at the same time, what you do is completely different. You, start something up from scratch. So for me, the key thing is to convince someone with clear arguments and with a working prototype, convince them to invest. Whereas in your case, it is like you bootstrap, you grow to some stage, right? So it is more organic, and I'm always looking at that side and I'm getting inspired.
That's great also. So even you said like it's more of an entrepreneur kind of an entrepreneur, but it's the values, because you have your own value, and the Modelon's management might have some other value, but to kind of synergize, that takes a gut, right?
Yes.
So that one thing I have to say. And starting something right from India, because you started thing in India, right? You are the first one who started Modelon in India.
Yes.
That's really amazed. Okay, because it's a very niche area and you are competing with the global conglomerates. So that's great to know, sir. Coming back to your GTRE time, so tell me how you got the offer and what you are doing there, and then to Honeywell, to Siemens, to Mercedes-Benz, then Modelon. So can you let's share some technical aspects of what you are doing. Sure. And coming finally, let the audience understand what Modelon is all about.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I did my engineering in MIT Crumpet. So I was an aeronautical engineer. Okay. So what happens in MIT is they choose the top 4 and they get a scholarship from DRDO. So right from the first year.
Oh.
So I was a DRDO scholar.
Oh, that's
So these scholars, they get opportunity to work in DRDO. So that is how I was placed in DRDO. Again, luckily I was in GTRE, where we were trying to develop the first gas turbine engine.
Kaveri, right?
Exactly, the Kaveri engine for 𝗙CA, the light combat aircraft.
It's eternal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think there are a lot of things to learn from a place like DRDO or GTRE, irrespective of the final outcome, the kind of technology, the kind of difficulties, right? I think difficulties and problems give you avenues to learn. So that is where I started. And particularly in GTRE, I was attached to fuel control systems group. So this group, basically we were trying to supply fuel to the gas turbine engine at the right pressure levels.
Okay.
So it is an hydromechanical system. So designing
from fuel bowsers to
exactly from the fuel tanks.
Okay.
You take the fuel and you need to supply it at the right amount and at the right pressure. So many valves, pumps, all these things are involved. So I was working there. So there the good thing is the same person gets to do everything. So one day you need to look at the design of the system. Another day you go to rig and run the tests, right? Design the control system. So it gave a very nice overview on system development. So how do you develop a system? How do you test a system? How do you qualify a system? So it involved, I think, work. I mean, as like you go to the lab, you work with workers, get things done. Started from there, but technically it was more like systems understanding, systems thinking. So system simulation was involved and controls was involved. So then in my career, I slowly started going into system simulation. That was an interesting aspect because even before you realize a system, so you dream a system, so you can actually realize it in software, right? So that makes your designs more effective. It cuts down a lot of time. You can avoid experiments because you can do it in the computers. So then I got interested and I moved in that direction. So yeah.
So then you whether you started this simulation within GTRE itself or in the second company?
So in GTRE, it was a part of my work. So I was doing 3 or 4 things and simulation was one part.
Because anyway you have to design and simulate.
Exactly. So,
okay. So right now, what was your role in Honeywell, then Siemens and Mercedes-Benz, and what you are doing at Modelon?
Yeah. So naturally, what happens is over a period of time. So when you move from one place to another, so you from an engineer you become a senior engineer, technical lead. So I also went through the same process. So when I was in Honeywell, I was a senior engineer. So there again, luckily Honeywell was an aerospace company, and I was able to work on the very similar fuel systems, but for commercial aircrafts. Okay. So Honeywell was supplying engines for commercial aircraft. So I used to, they were supplying for both Airbus as well as Boeing. Okay. So I was working there on that topic, and that it was in the year 2003 actually. So that is when technical work getting outsourced to India has just started. Okay. So there were a lot of unknowns and hiccups and other things. So I was not able to take that. I was so young and I wanted to be quick with everything. So basically I moved from there and moved into an R&D company. So Mercedes-Benz R&D. Okay. So there you are not, put through the rigors of, commercialization. There is no deadline, long deadlines, but the technology was simply awesome. So I used to work on, you won't believe, in 2004, I was working on fuel cells. Wow. So Mercedes-Benz has such a futuristic thinking. So I ended up making, I was working on PMFC fuel cells, modeling them, simulations and other things. So I would say there again, from an engineer, maybe as a researcher. So there the role was a research role. So I slowly became a researcher. So what has happened is, I started in GTRE as a systems engineer, then focusing on, simulation, then how do you do research. So from there, then slowly I wanted to try out many things. So I was restricting myself to aerospace. So that is when I thought it is not good. So maybe we should, because system simulation is very generic. If you apply to an aerospace system, you can apply to any system. So from there, I moved to an automotive company. So that was a company called MSK. Later, it got taken over by LMS, which is a Belgium company. Finally, this got taken over by Siemens. So that is why I say I moved to Siemens.
Okay.
But it had, this metamorphosis. So there in Siemens, the good thing was I was able to pick a lot of fundamentals on the simulation technology itself, like how it evolves, what is open source.
Because as you know, Siemens is already a software maker as well.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
it's not that you can go and buy, they make softwares.
Exactly.
So
exactly. There you learn the process.
Yes.
So a software, when you are trying to see services, you only define your service, right? So somebody wants to get things done, you do it, you say like, yeah, I have done it, and it ends there. Whereas product, I have a fundamental that product has to stand for itself for so many years. So any code or any algorithm that you put inside into a product, so we call it productification. So it has to stand for itself.
Yes.
So that rigor came during the Siemens experience, because there they have a lot of processes. So how do you create a feature? So how many people are involved? So this whole process of converting your ideas through software into a product. So that is something that I picked up there.
Okay, got it. So in Siemens, what was your role then?
Yeah, in Siemens, basically, I was trying to lead a team, so a team of engineers. So that is where some amount of leadership also built in, how to work with people. So engineers, the biggest problem is we can work with math, we can work with physics, but we cannot work with people.
Yeah, that's very tough.
Right? So I kind of picked up my people skills at Siemens because you have a team. So I was trying to do global projects using the Indian team. So that was my role there in Siemens.
So can you elaborate on what inputs you will receive and what output you give as a team?
See, for example, that is when, it was in the year 2007-8. So that is when I was there. So people were so happy about moving to more of electrification.
Yes.
So even in those years, so it was always I was working on the research side of things. So there was a lot of research on electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids.
So the end user is predominantly automotive.
Yes.
Okay.
So for example, let us say Toyota Prius. So Toyota Prius for any automotive engineer. So it was like it's a dream basically, right? So you have engine, you have battery, it's a hybrid. And it has best of both worlds, and the way the Japanese had designed that, it was a wonder. So for example, we used to model such cars. So using the systems, the system simulation that I was talking about. So system simulation is slightly different. So it is not FEA or it is not CFD. This is first principles, engineering. What we read in our engineering textbook, the differential equations, right? So that is what we use, and we create these models.
Okay.
So I used to work on, hybrid electric vehicles. There are so many types. I still remember we talk about power split transmission and the planetary gears that they use. The way Toyota Prius had used planetary gears. So that used to give a lot of joy in understanding them first and then modeling it, right?
Understand. So whether these inputs, whether you will be getting it from marketing team or from other simulation team like FEM, CFD or other control team, how control systems team, how it
So for system simulation, definitely the designers, they are the key. So we get a lot of information from the designers. See, if let us say when I'm getting to model a battery, I ask a lot of questions to the designer. Hey, how many cells? How many in series? How many in parallel? What type of cell? So can you give me cell data? Do you have any experimental data? So we ask a lot of questions from them to kind of understand the system, because the simulation model is only as good as the data that you put inside. So I think the designers, the OEMs, the guys who are actually making this machine, we require a lot of things inputs from them.
Okay, whether you'll be able to get those inputs or those time, it's because it is difficult, right? Because as a designer, they don't know your kind of problem statement. Because what was the difficulty in getting those inputs?
Most of these companies, right? Let us say someone is trying to bring up an electric vehicle and innovating. So they themselves nowadays, they want to use system simulation a lot. So they come to you because they know what are the advantages, but at the same time they also understand that they need to be willing to provide some information to us.
Okay.
So it is some sort of a two-way information flow.
Okay. So it's like designers will design, you will kind of integrate with respect to the input on iOS from them, and you have to simulate before going for the actual CAN protocols or whatever it is, right? That is the...
Yeah, so we can actually put it this way. So designers can design a product, but the actual product has to undergo different scenarios, right? So these scenarios, see, basically the designer cannot, imagine all these scenarios. So we can help them in simulating these scenarios and tell them where the product is falling short.
Okay.
So where it has to be, improved. So those kinds of information, we can, the what if scenarios, what if temperature increases, what if the coolant flow rate has, reduced by half, what if a particular pump fails, right? So those kinds of things, what if scenarios, we can actually simulate.
Okay. So in CFE and FEA, what we do is kind of more of on the material aspect and loading, those things. What you are saying, it's more on the process, functionality and process. Okay, I got it. So whether you'll be able to work with these FEA people or not?
Definitely. Yeah, we will need, let us take a valve, right? I think you also have helped a lot of companies making valves. So these valves, let us say we are trying to model a valve.
Okay.
So in my model, the valve will have just one flow coefficient. We'll say I need flow coefficient for a particular valve. But then this is something that a CFD can actually simulate and actually give me the valve coefficient.
Okay.
So I would say CFD, FEM and us at System Simulation, we are like collaborating technologies. So basically my advantage is I can take this valve's flow coefficient, but I can build the entire circuit which has thousands of valves. And I can tell you the entire circuit, how it operates if a particular valve is blocked, right? So that is something which I don't want to do in CFD because it is going to take me a lot of time.
And it is not possible at all also.
I agree. There are certain limitations.
Yes, because it needs a lot of computational time.
Exactly.
Everything, and you cannot do because it's all about minimizing your problem and execute. That's how, because it's all about integration, differentiation.
Yes.
It takes lots of time. And I want to touch base on, again, deep down on what actually happens in a software. Okay. Let's come back to Modelon right now. Okay. And how it's been coded and what's happened. What is Modelon actually? How Modelon helps this system integration or designing the system, and what is there behind it?
So I think I have given you some background on what system simulation is. So Modelon, I would say we are a leading provider of system simulation.
Okay.
And our USP is we are the first company to provide this solution on cloud.
Wow.
So our software is in cloud.
Okay.
So let us say today you want to use it. I can give you a username and password, and yes, you are there. So you can go into our system, and when you get inside our system, to help everyone, we have 18 libraries for different industries, aero, auto, energy industry, for any industry.
So it's more of a plug and play.
Exactly. Okay. So you can go to, let us say, the subject of your interest, library of your interest, you can drag, drop things, connect them, and you can get your system.
Okay.
So you key in the data, run the system and see the results. So that is what basically we at Modelon do.
Okay.
So it sounds, easy, but behind the scenes we have to do a lot of work.
Yeah, I understand, because as a simulation engineer, I also know that, because it's easy to give an input and get an output.
Yes.
But as an engineer, you have to understand, interpret and validate those. That's the key, and you have to make sure that what engineering has been done, and it has to make sure it's real time.
Exactly.
That's matching is because all the simulations are not actuals.
Yeah.
Right. What is the accuracy? Because as FE engineers, we have kind of 70 to 80% accuracy, we say.
Yeah.
What about this?
So our accuracy typically will be, I would say, less than what CFD or FEM could achieve. But where we kind of add value is the speed. Let us say someone wants to evaluate 1,000 designs of a particular system. So actually I can do it in 1 hour.
Wow.
So something like that, just giving you an idea. So that is where we add value. We can do things fast. We can be less accurate, but we can do it fast. For example, let us say someone wants to design an EV vehicle. They sit in the boardroom and they decide, I want to make a sedan EV which has 300 kilometers as range. So with that itself, we can immediately make up model and tell them, like, for the current platform you have, if you use this battery, you will be able to achieve only 250. If you make some changes, then you can, make it 300. So early during the design cycle, we can actually jump in. But this early, you cannot make a CFD or a FEM model, right? So that is where we are more like conceptual kind of, plane where we work at.
Okay, understand. So once it is decided, then designers can roll up their sleeves and get things done.
Yes.
But our thing mostly comes after design. That's right.
Yes.
And before prototype or production.
Exactly. So all these technologies have to work together, but they have to be in the appropriate, places during the life cycle.
Okay. So since you touch base on electric right now, okay, and you have touch base with hybrid, how you see as a simulation engineer the shift happening from ICE to electrical right now, and how Modelon is catering to both and addressing.
Right. So I would say last few years I'm seeing a drastic change. I think a lot of investments. We even see a lot of models in India and abroad. Wherever we go, I see. Wherever we go, we see place to charge your vehicle. So things are changing. I think we have already seen a lot of changes, which is a welcome change. But at the same time, Modelon as a company, I think we have already completed 20 years globally.
Oh.
And so we have seen both. So we started with modeling IC engines and transmissions and other things. But as things move, we have to cater to all the customers. So we have also in the last 3-4 years, if you see, we have one library now dedicatedly for modeling electrified systems. So you can model an electric vehicle. But the fundamentals remain the same. So we kind of focus on the fundamentals. So if the fundamentals are strong, then we can move in any direction. So that is what we do.
Okay. So what is running behind? Is it Python or?
So we use a language called Modelica. So Modelica is an open source language.
Okay.
See, the thing is, Modelon at its core, so we want to stay true to open standards. We follow open standards. Of course, we make commercial products, but we use open standards all along the way. So any let us say I talk about a library, some components, any component is made of this language Modelica. And even when you use our commercial solutions, you'll be able to go and look at the source code. So that is how it is.
That's great to know, because as I can map, it's like open form for CFD.
Exactly.
Similar to Modelica for Modelon, right?
Yeah.
So that things can, because you are doing customization with respect to the user requirement.
Yes.
That's great to know. So on interacting with you on my engineering days, it's coming back. Okay. So on problem solving time, because right now as an entrepreneur, you don't really solve a lot of engineering problems. It's all about managerial problems most of the time, and funding problems, or it's more of people, and there is customer, vendor, and you have people. So I just wanted to ask you, what is the case study? Can you explain a case study where you kind of solved a very tough problem, which you see it's a great thing to do, great thing you've done?
Sure. Again, so we as a team at Modelon, we keep solving problems, but as you said, a key problem that I find very important for the globe itself. So we also work on energy. So on the energy side, we see a lot of focus on decarbonization.
Yes.
So which is, we have to protect the world where we live in.
Like everyone talks about SDG goals, sustainability.
Exactly. So, so what we do is we have some mathematical models which can help people to decarbonize existing, let us say, polluting, power plants. So we can model a power plant, we can model how it pollutes, and we can also model a decarbonization system. So we are helping people designing those systems. So recently we have seen some of our customers using it to good effect. So they are using our products and designing how this decarbonization system should be to remove carbon dioxide, excess carbon dioxide. So I would say these kind of problems, when we solve, we take pride, because we are it's not about money, as you said. So sometimes you also look for, you know, satisfaction and our contribution to the globe.
That's great to know, because I never knew this, because this we also do in simulations to reduce whatever noise or vibrations, or even that exhaust, right, exhaust system, or the carbon content which mixes with the air. So can you a bit elaborate on how you did this with respect to you can also say name the customer if you want, and how much kind of reduction we can do, because simulation you can do anything, but how much it is practical, this you can say in any percentage or something.
So I think that is a good question. Again, we have done it with multiple customers. So I can tell you, as you said, so simulation can be used to predict anything that you want. But what we do is a careful validation of models. So any model that we make, we validate the model. So I would say we can go up to the accuracy of 90%. And also in some cases, our models are working as digital twins, where people online run it to carefully manage their assets. So we have cases like that where people are using our models. Really, we would say bleeding edge, right? Not cutting edge, even bleeding edge, where it is super important that you get the right data out of a model. So that much amount of reliability on our models is a proof to what kind of technology we pack inside that. So these are some cases where I would say we have really reached a good capability.
Okay, understand, sir. Coming back to the industries Modelon serves right now. So what are the major industries you serve, and is it whether you Modelon India caters global audience as well, and how about you? Please let you explain on that, and I'll come back to it.
Sure. Yeah. So basically the way we are set up, so you can think of us like a global capability center. So Modelon is a global company. We are in US, Europe, Japan and India. So the headquarters, it's in Sweden. So any customer that we get anywhere, so as a global capability center, our team is a part. So we serve customers in the US, Europe, as well as in Japan. Then I also think we are kind of hybrid. We are also an MNC. So we sell our product in India. So we have Indian customers as well. So we work with various Indian customers. And industry segmentation. So we work with aero, auto and energy. So recent days, what we are seeing is there is a lot of traction towards, we are originally an automotive focused company, but now we are seeing a lot of focus or a lot of traction in the energy industry.
Because of SDG goals.
Exactly.
Because any R&D starts predominantly from aerodynamics, because right from NASA, because everything, the simulation, I guess, because I just wanted to add the question, because with respect to FEM and CFD, the history starts from NASA.
Yes.
Okay. What about this?
I would say yes, definitely it starts from the US. I think in the 1970s. So there was a researcher called Forrester. So if I'm right, he's from MIT. Oh. So MIT of the US, not MIT Chromebook. So he did research and he started something called a system dynamics.
Oh, okay.
So that is the starting point for the simulations we do today.
Okay.
So it started from there and it spread everywhere. And Modelica specifically is an initiative in Europe. So that has also now spread all over the world.
Oh, understand. So coming back to building these kind of niche segment, okay, and you need people, because people are company and company is people. So sitting in tier 2, tell me how your organization looks, what are the different set of teams, and how it differs from the global team, whether you do same set of things that global team does, or where you have some subject matter expertise here at India.
Yeah, I think this is a great question, Tamil. I think this is the most, the action is actually here. We talk about a lot of concept, but the real action actually starts here. So as you rightly said, for us entrepreneurs, we really understand at some point people are everything, right? So we have to invest in people, invest in right people. So that is very crucial. And one thing which I was very clear when I moved here was we need to make sure that people can work at the level at which we have engineers elsewhere in Europe or in the US, because we have differences in the education system, right? So we need to make sure people are at that level. So training is key, I would say. So get the right people and train them properly. So this is something we at Modelon have done consistently well. So we train people and also when we select, so we have a lot of criteria, how you select a person. So over a period of time, we have also got refined. But so we get the right people, we give the right training. And another thing, we should not look at tier 2 city as a place to, save cost. So tier 2 city, we move because we want to do something good to the world, right? Not to save the cost. So we don't make any compromises there. Oh. So we pay industry standard salaries. Maybe that is one point. Yeah. But still, I think you know better that the market is so fluid. I think the labor market. So anything you do, there is always somebody who is willing to pay more than that. So we need to hit the right balance. I mean, we value the people. We value them, we pay them properly, but there are sometimes when we fall short. So what we do is we have this principle, we have a concept called a pipeline. So we always maintain a pipeline of candidates. Like when we find someone interesting, we don't have a job opening, but we just pull them in. We give a handsome stipend and we call it a fellowship basically. We offer fellowships. So they are always with us, and whenever a requirement comes, then we try to absorb them. So that has actually acts like a buffer. So that has actually helped us quite well.
That itself a kind of good strategy, I could say, because attracting people here, it's pretty tough. Okay. So can you elaborate how you hire? So because someone is looking at to work on Modelon, what requirements they should have? Whether you hire freshers or even if experienced people, what are the key elements you are looking at?
Yep. So as I said, the first important thing is let us say the attitude. So we look at the attitude of the person when we interview. So we interview everyone. Even for the fellowship, we have this interview procedure. So we look at attitude. The next important thing for us is basics. I think as you would have understood by now, I have used the word physics, math so many times, also differential equations.
I understand, because being a system simulation software, you need to understand the basics. Without that, you cannot even place the right module in each.
You are right. So basically, we look at people having good fundamentals in thermodynamics, solid mechanics, fluid mechanics. So we don't want them to talk about some advanced concept, but basics should be strong. So that is what we kind of focus on. Yeah. But rest is taken care of by our team. So we already have a good team. So anyone with right attitude, right skills comes in. I think it is amazing to see how quickly they start performing. Greater outcomes you get from people.
Okay. So can you touch base on whether you hire freshers, or what is the kind of
ratio? Yeah, that's actually a good question. So to be frank, in the beginning, right, when I was new here, there is no way I'm going to be able to attract experienced people. No one knows me, no one knows Modelon. So that time it was all freshers. But the good thing was we were able to do some targeted recruitment, I would say. For example, I have some friends in academia. So I used to reach out to them because that is a trick, right? We need to use some tricks. So I go to him, I tell him, this is what I'm going to do. You know what we are going to work on.
I guess you are from a very good alma mater, so you have
MIT. So some of my friends are in very good positions in academia. So I reach out to them. So they actually pick people and tell me like, he is a real good candidate, very trainable. So can you just try him? So that kind of see, if you're a big organization, you have a big team working for you in recruitment, whereas we are a small company. So we have to go within the constraints. So we get nice people. So the first we started with, let us say, freshers. Actually, I was able to convince Modelon with the 3 freshers. and all of them are from very small towns. I think one from Coimbatore.
Oh, Coimbatore.
One from Coimbatore, near Coimbatore. It's like 𝗧𝗺𝗺𝗃, which is near Palghat, 𝗧𝗺𝗺. Another person from Dindigul. So another person from Madurai. So all small town people. They were studying in a very small college.
Can you name the college?
It was Bannari, basically.
Okay.
Because Bannari Amman. My friend was a professor there, so I was able to pick them. So with them, I was able.
All these three people from Bannari Amman.
Yeah, all three were from Bannari.
Oh.
Because as I said, I want to put my efforts on training them rather than going to many colleges and picking the best people, right? But actually, all three of them were the best people, I would say. So actually, one of them is still with us after 7 years, and the way he has grown, you should look at what we can do from a tier 2 city and what we can do with right fundamentals.
Okay. So all these three people from mechanical department.
So there is also an interesting story. So basically, I did my engineering 1996 to 2000 in MIT. So even in MIT those days, if you do aero, you won't get job.
Yes.
So people used to make fun of us in college, like aero vela kedikadu. So something like that. So what I did was all my recruitment were aerospace engineers.
Oh.
So even today, my employees, they just complain like, why do you take aeronautical engineer for software? So it is some sort of, I want to give back something. So, but anyways, fun apart, now we have become more refined. But still, I still feel aeronautical engineering is the best place to look at, because they can also work like a mechanical engineer, they can work like a thermodynamic engineer, they can work like anything, right?
Understand, because I am a mechatronics engineer. Okay, so I don't know about heat and mass transfer. I don't know about FEM. I don't know about the thermodynamics. But it really killed me while I was working, because all these things comes to while you are, because I am a stress engineer before.
Right.
Because without knowing these three, you cannot do stress analysis.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, as you rightly said, aircraft or aeronautical engineer knows everything, right? From some bit of electronics, some bit of mechanical stuff, core mechanical stuff, which is required, and obviously FEM CFD comes then on design stuff also, because I could say after mechanical engineer, aeronautical engineer is more of well suited for this kind of where we do simulations and stuff, because as I also work with lots of FEM CFD engineers, most of the people is from aeronautical department, because they understand things easily.
True. And I will also request you to recruit more aeronautical engineers for Frigate.
But the thing is, what I've been doing since ages, we are not doing right now, unfortunately, because we are into completely into manufacturing right now. But who knows? We might go deep into engineering, where we might have an engineering services arm. But I'll take your words. We'll definitely hire lots of aeronautical engineers in the future as well, because we love to do that, and I love to do that as well.
Sure, great. And I have one question for you. So I think you have done a scale, according to me, right? I mean, you have done a big scale. So how did you really? So for me, the idea was I went to a professor, right? So for you, what did you do to build such a big team and a good team?
Okay, so I am a basic design thinker. Okay, so I see, if I we are interacting almost close to 1 hour right now. So I take things from people like anything. So that's my natural skill. Okay, and this getting people, and I watch people who has built it before. Okay, because I visited people who has done this before. I sat with them like of business, or you can say TVS. I know a lot of people from them, even GE and my ex-employer Acoustics India. I know how they built, right? And I really know what not to do.
True.
So, and it's not that entrepreneurship, because as you know, it's very tough for a technical person to build a managing team, to manage a team, build a team and manage a team. But I always think this way, to be empathetic most of the time, because most of the time, as you might aware, I used to ask questions more on the personal things because I come from very low level family. Okay, so I understand what their requirement is from because technical is different, as you rightly said, the attitude. So whether they will stay longer with us or whether they, because we are building it from tier 2 and there are lots of things, because if they get married to a Chennai person,
that is the biggest problem we both have.
Then they have to go there.
So we have to execute a contract. You should marry someone from Trichy.
And if you marry a very good mechanical engineer for girls, then these guys won't stay in Trichy because as I have
migrated,
I have migrated myself from being because as you know, my wife is working for BHL Trichy and she is into outsourcing. I even as a mechanic engineer, I found myself difficulty in getting job right here at Trichy. Somehow or other 𝗧সমূhr sir has offered me a job. That's a different story. So these things also you have to check, because even though the people is willing to work with you, the environment, system, family,
I agree.
must not support me. Because while we hire, we kind of touch base all these things, because I predict so this guy only will stand for 6 months. With that, I don't hire, even if he is good. And if someone, when my gut feel says, okay, he'll stand for 2 years at least, that's the first thing, because it's all about investing. It's not about money. It's all about time. It's all about training which we give. And the customer, if he lost, because he is the face for the customer for us, because we are more of a sales company, right? So then everything will go for a toss. To give that KT to another person and improving them, it's a lot of time. So we kind of, as you rightly said, because we don't formulate things, but as in my mind, I have a mind map that I have a list of things. So if it doesn't suit, I say no. Okay. It's always better to say no upfront, right? So that's my story.
We develop this gut feeling for things, right?
Because we run business based on gut feeling. Because more of gut feeling, but less on process. More on process is there, but even though process is there, the gut feel only says what to be done, what not to be done.
Right.
So, as a B2B company, customer acquisition is pretty tough, right? So there is a long sales cycle, and there is money. Once money hits your bank, we have to have a lot of efforts we have to put, right? In your point of view, how you do that, and is there any interesting story to share on the same?
So that is again a very important question. I think sales is the growth engine for any company. For us as Modelon, since we are a global company, the sales team working elsewhere, also actually helps us. Because today mostly let us say the lead generation happens in LinkedIn. So we have a good global team, marketing team, which works and which creates a lot of content.
They sit in Sweden.
They sit in US actually. They sit in US. So they generate a lot of good content, and that actually helps us in generating leads. So first part is actually generation of leads. So we generate leads from there. And also here in India, we attend conferences, we present papers. So that also helps us in generating.
Because that is very much important for a simulation software. We have to attend a lot of conferences, user conferences.
Right.
And we have to present a lot, because most of your people will be from R&D, end user, because they need to understand what is know-hows and what is updates from the last version to right version. Because I want to touch base on the same thing. What are the versions you have, whether you release versions year on year or how it goes?
So the software being a cloud software, so previously we were also not a cloud software. So that time we got used to these 2 releases per year. But now we being a cloud software, we can push releases at will. But still we make 2 major releases per year, but there are a lot of these patches that we keep pushing. So we want to be very lightweight and agile, fast. So that is what has been our mantra.
Okay, understand. So
while acquiring customers, and there are competitors as well, right?
Yeah.
So how you compete with them, whether you can you sell the sales cycle? So whether you need to give them a freeware or a kind of trial version or something, then or else some customers, because I work while in CRI pumps. I am the first FE engineer for CRI pumps. Okay. We had worked with MSC software. We had worked with Siemens. We had worked with ANSYS.
Okay.
And how a company goes with it, because they are investing a lot of money.
Right.
Okay. And it should solve their problem.
Exactly.
It should match.
Yeah.
So we used to give the use cases. So this is the problem we have to solve it, then only I will purchase your license. Right. That's the first story for anything. So is it a similar kind of a story for you as well, or how it goes?
Very similar actually. Okay. And we see, first of all, everyone is in the same plane. There is not too much to choose between competitors. All of us can solve the problem, but there are some minor, pain points. See, for example, if you think of a big company, a big simulation company, which has a sales office in India, and let us say the technical team sits in Europe. Now, if you have to look at the way, let us say someone starts using the software, he has a support query, he forwards it to the support. What happens now is the cycle in which they solve this problem will be easily 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What happens is in India it gets escalated, but it's a sales team with a very small team, so they will look at it for some time. Then they'll say, "I'll hand it over to the Europe." In Europe, there will be prioritization. They prioritize US first, Europe's next, Japan next, and last is India. So by the time they get an answer, there are 2 more iterations. So 3 days. We do it in 3 hours.
Wow.
So that is the kind of, it is a pain point, and we address it by having a very strong team here. Because so in India, for Modelon, we have, if I say we are 16, 17 people, so 3 of them work on application side, which is the support side. So we can do it really fast. So that is one thing that helps us a lot.
Because I can relate, because see, if one problem comes, because sometimes as a engineer, FE engineer, system, for that matter, simulation engineer, sometimes you don't know what to do next. Okay. Yep. Because that problem you might not have faced before. So that time there is no other go that you have to go to the software, because those trainers will only train you on whatever it is. And we used to raise question to help at something.
Right.
Then they will respond, and it will take a lot of time. And here my TL will push me. You have to give it some more, because based on that only other next stage, because it comes at a product life cycle at the end of the day.
Right.
So everything will get affected. So whatever you said within 3 hours is simply amazing for a simulation company. I guess it's a benchmark you have set for yourself, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. And we want to actually beat ourselves all the time. So we are constantly improving. And since you're talking about customer acquisition, I also had something interesting to ask you. So at Frigate, what I see now is as you are growing, you are making more parts, you are working with more geographies. We are also working with people, and data is something which is very critical, right? Data exchange, multiple NDAs, information security clearance, so many documents, so many checklists. How you are able to convince your customers? I mean, you're doing a fantastic job, but how they are able to share something so freely with you, and you are able to, create them and send it back to them. So I find this fascinating. So I'm just asking you.
See, shift is changing, because it's all about people right now. Okay, so B2B is all about people, but they have to stick to the company's ethos as well. For this, because early it was very difficult, because without a big logo acquired by you, it was very difficult. Right now we have worked with almost close to 10% of the Fortune 500 companies, right from L&T. Then we work with Reliance and major EPCs in India, and we work with Tata projects. Those, at least the Indian Fortune 500 companies we have worked with. So to answer your question, these logos helped us a lot. So getting your first big logo is critical, crucial here.
Yeah.
And once these guys are already getting parts from you. Okay, then why not we? Okay.
Fantastic.
And even as you said, we work for a supercar. They have given a complete headlight design to us. So
nice.
and even though NDA everything is signed, but it's all about the trust. And these big logos have helped us and people, because people mindset has changed to be honest. Because earlier days it was 40-45 aged people. Right now these people 20k people 2k people are a bit different on the mindset, because it's not that easy to replicate, and systems and IPs are becoming also so, because if you want to duplicate that, then they will screw you. That is also because as a while you sign the NDA, we kind of integrate these stuffs, and we are also kind of closing towards our next stage, bigger company. So we also know that, and the company who is giving the designs also know that if they screw, they are screwing themselves. So that is that's how it helps, and that's how we do that.
Nice to know this.
Okay, so coming back to the work-life balance. As entrepreneurs, we because those people who are working have that work-life balance, right? Right now we don't have balance and we don't have anything, right? So how you manage that, because it's almost 15 years, right?
I mean, in Trichy, 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
So since you start the business, so how you manage, and is there any tips for me as well, because I'm relatively a new entrepreneur compared to you. So is there anything to share?
I somehow I try to put everything on a triangle. So I would say, family, fitness, and business. I always try to keep this as a triangle. So give focus on all three. Of course, when you are too much on one side, the other side gets affected. So it's a constant balancing act. I think in my case, at some point, I was too much into business and fitness. So totally the family gets ignored. But after some point, you realize, so you make some corrections. So I would say the Tamil saying, right? I mean, alavukku meerinal amudam nanju. So that is something which we should keep in mind. So anything at the right level is good. But these three things, I would say, for a person, it is very important. I think your profession, your family, and also fitness. Because I think fitness, it is not about building a body or having a good body. Fitness again helps us to keep a strong mind.
Understand. I could relate to what you are saying, because I also have the same triangle with me. But I mostly focus on work, business, and the fitness, and not on the third side. Because my wife, you also used to say the same thing while we interact with our employees. But I'm trying to right now. I'm trying to switch off my phone after 7 p.m. and I'll only switch it on after 8 p.m. while I come to office. That's the policy I'm having right now, and I used to break it off. So at least 3-4 days I used to have, because sometimes we don't have any choice, because we are into exports. We have to make payments, because on that time that is there. And coming back to the fitness journey, because I know you first time I know about you, but second time I know you because we have common friends. Okay, Mohan is our common friend. He is a cyclist. You are also a cyclist. Can you elaborate on? You have gone the extreme, right? And I know that you are a barefoot runner as well, marathoner. So, can you explain, touch base on why you chose fitness? Because I have a story to share, and most of the people know that. But I want you to emphasize why you chose fitness and why you chose cycling and barefoot running, and how it has impacted your business work life and how it is right now.
So again, interesting topic. So fitness. So I chose fitness because I was a fat boy all the time. So right from I think I reached a weight of 75 when I was in my 10th standard. I used to be a very I can show you some pictures later. So I used to.
We'll add up that in.
So I used to be a 92 kilo guy. For my height, 92 kilos is like a real stout person. So it went to a level where I need to actually take some medical help.
Oh.
So from there I decided I think we should start acting on this. So then I started running. The good thing about fitness is once you start seeing the results, right? It is almost like business. Once you start seeing the results, you are too much into it. So similar thing happened. So fitness, I saw my weight dropping. I saw you are getting back to shape. So that really pushed me.
I did stop here because the results you can see both mentally and physically.
Exactly. More. So fitness is all about actually the mental thing. It's actually not at all physical, right? So especially I do endurance. So endurance is, so I don't run fast, but I'll keep running for a day, something like that, right? So that works on your mind, and especially cycling. So I really do long distance cycling. So when I say long, it is really long. So basically, you know it. So I have done something like at maximum 1,500 kilometers of cycling. So it is almost like 5 days full of cycling. So that is something which we do. So what happens is I see cycling as, simulation of life, right? So what happens during 80, 90 years of life, you can actually see it in one cycle ride if you do it for 600 kilometers, right? So when you think you are doing well, a sudden puncture happens, right? Inside a forest, you see a big snake there, and then you see some elephants there, and then what happens if a light goes off? So anything can go wrong anywhere, but you are still, so the life lesson is irrespective of what happens to you, keep pedaling. So that is something, a lesson from fitness, I would say.
Because as you know, endurance, I used to run a marathon as well. I am not a marathon, I am a sprinter.
You look fit always.
I am a sprinter, but I actually, I have a similar story. I tore my all ligaments. Okay, I don't have any ligaments with me right now. I tore all my 6 ligaments because I'm a kabaddi player during my college. I'm also an athlete, long jump, volleyball. So what happened? I took it for granted, and in 21st age itself, I did all surgery. After surgery, because before that I was very fit. After that, I blown up to 95.
Oh, okay.
95 kgs.
Okay.
And from 95 I reduced to 75. Okay. Only endurance running helped me. There is no other work. And because as I am a sprinter, if you do endurance, it's different ball game too.
Exactly.
Because you lose everything within half a kilometer. Everything stops.
True.
Things will start, only your mind will only run, body will obey. That's it. For the next, say, 15,
mind
20,
takes over.
Mind takes over, body will lose it. Okay. It will go whatever. So that helped me a lot in reducing my physique. And right now I'm not doing any kind of running, but I do it in treadmill and stuff. But that push, which gives you like, it's more of a mind game where you can really apply the same to your business or whatever it is, because that's, for me, it's more of a meditation, working out in gym or hitting, because that is where that's where lots of ideas come to me. And I used to have a notepad as well while going to gym. So all these ideas happens only in gym. Excellent. And fortunately, I am very fortunate enough that in my gym no one will come. So it's aram se, it's very no noise, nothing. I go 1 hour, I used to work out and get things done.
I think one message to entrepreneurs from both of us, focus on fitness first, right?
That's it. Because it helps and it gives you confidence in front of people you showcase, and even for your employees as well, right? So you
you inspire everyone. It rubs on to everyone.
Yes,
right? I agree.
And even if you visit a new, because see, I have traveled across the globe. Okay, I used to see US people, I used to see Japanese people, and used to see European people, and I used to see Indian people. You can know the difference, right? Yes. Europeans are like, they are fittest, super fit, and they eat healthy, eat only lot of protein. The amount of protein they intake is nowhere come near to what we are eating right now.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So those kind of things, and if they see a fit fit Indian. They kind of hug you, and because these European mindset is different altogether. So that helps me a lot in approaching new people also.
Yes, you become more confident. Basically.
Yes. True. Okay. So sticking to the plan, hiring, everything is okay, but attrition.
Yep.
So it happens for everyone, and even in big companies, they do every all these stuffs they try to do, and how you manage?
Yeah, I think it is a key question. So, see, system simulation, the beauty of math, physics, everything you talk about, so you do great things. So, of course, when you do great things, definitely it will attract, a lot of competitors, or even your customers get attracted towards hiring people. So, initial days of my entrepreneurship, I used to fret a lot. I used to be worried a lot. But now I think I have reached a place where you have to actually accept that attrition is going to be there. But small steps that, we
have also spoken a lot about this since 7 years.
Exactly. You get basically sleepless nights. I think when one person leaves, your immediate fear is like, what if another 2, another 3 leaves, right? So because for us, people are the most important thing. So I think at some point I realized it, and we have taken some steps. So you should not try to stop people, but rather put some processes. That is something which we have understood. So for example, now people are talking about mental wellness a lot. So we have actually a mental wellness consultant.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is something new that we did only 6 months ago. We hired someone, and they keep talking to people. So it's something like it goes in we have a role, and it keeps rolling. So once every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you get to talk to them. So we are seeing, and we have an agreement that they will never share anything with us, basically with management.
That's great.
So it is purely for people to be always, mentally strong and well. So we are worried about the well-being of people. So that actually helps us. And
So I have to add one thing here, because if people are good at family, they are happy at family, the productivity goes
exactly
goes well. Because I know, because we've been in the shoes, right? Because I've been an employee, you've been an employee.
Yes.
If your wife hits you, or your child pesters you, or if you have some things with your parents, it will directly affect. It impacts directly with your things. So
Yes.
the mental awareness consultant, mental well-being consultant is something I can look at for our team as well, and
Sure.
even the audience, because it's something, because 80s kids, 90s kids don't know about that.
Actually, I think you have hit the right point. So this is mainly required for Gen Z and 2K kids.
Yeah.
They spend so much time on mobile. They don't watch people. They don't know what relationship is.
Yes.
Right? So for them, this is more important.
Gratification.
Exactly.
More of gratification.
So their way of thinking is very different. They need support.
We cannot blame, to be honest, because if we had 90s, we had a mobile phone, we might have been the same place.
Exactly.
So we cannot kind of deep blame anyone, but they need this. We have to support. That support ecosystem should be there from companies.
Yeah, and also we implemented one more system. We call it the employee council. See, what happens is, after a point of time, it is like employee versus management. Every company that happens, right? So we wanted to break it. So we said, we will allow you to have the council. The council meets every month. So none of the people from management will be there in the meeting. They discuss whatever they want. But at the end of the meeting, they will send us 5 or 6 points saying that we don't like these things. So it should be changed. And we promise that action will be taken within a week.
Wow.
So that is something which we have been doing more than 6 months. These 2 things, whether it is going to work or not, but we think for a healthy company, healthy organization. So these are some things that are required.
Yeah, I understand it will definitely work, because see, we are at the end of the day, we are here for the people. Okay, so at the end of the day, customers is there, but to serve the customer, we need people. And people should be happy working for us. And employee well-being and employee council, that's both things. It's amazing, and I'll try to implement the same here, because we have similar kind of stuff. Because as you know, you are more of a mature company. We are a startup. there are things we have to take and care as well. But we'll try to implement that as well. And audience, you should also try to make sure that these things are important things if you are trying to build a better company, because people are company is all about people. So that's pretty much important, and that sums up the day. So we are coming to a conclusion. So as an engineer, as an entrepreneur, I'm honored to interview you today, because I shared, because initially we planned different things, but being a simulation engineer myself, I could relate a lot on building something, because simulation engineering is different, product engineering is different. You have to do both. It has to be balanced as well, and building it from tier 2, and everything is you are doing it from tier 2. That is also there. So there are lots of insights I got, and I'm damn sure that people, global audience, also might got a lot of insights from you as well. So thanks for your time, and let's build it big.
Thanks, Tamil. Thanks for this opportunity, and it is always a pleasure interacting with you. And it is also nice to watch you growing for so many years. And I wish you all the best for Frigate.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.